Welcome one and all to episode 8 of Titan Teatime. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me as always, I've got my two co-hosts, James.
Hello.
And Steven.
Hello.
And in today's episode, we are talking about chapter 126 that came out at the beginning of this month, and it is called Pride. I had pie on my mind.
Because honestly, it fits.
Yeah, there have been some pie memes and other. Well, I've seen some things. We'll get to it though as we talk about the chapter. Right off the bat, we get a little bit of a flashback, or we go back in time a little bit to a moment that a lot of people have been, a couple of characters that a lot of people have been waiting for, been longing to see again.
Oliver. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Exactly. What was up with Oliver?
I don't know, man.
Poor Oliver. He gets a name before we even see his dead face. Yeah. Like, what's up with that?
At least he has a name.
Yeah. He's gonna be like one of those characters in like the next character encyclopedia book, and he's just gonna be like, there's gonna be like the picture of his face.
Yeah, dead face.
And the name, like, died at the hands of Hanji, chapter 126 or something like that. Anyway.
Lucky. Just kidding.
So yeah, Hanji is taking care of the Jaegerists that are chasing after her and Levi, and she is crying, and that, like, the tear in her eyes here, or in her eye, I should say, it really makes it seem very powerful,
I never
in my
noticed
opinion.
that.
Because these are fellow Paradisians, and you know, she probably may have possibly known them, you know, since they were in the military probably at the same time at some point, and then it split and whatnot. And yeah, it's a very nice touch with a tear there.
Yeah.
One of the many reasons I love Hanji so much. And yes, Pride is the name of the chapter, not Pie. And
although we will talk about pies later.
That's the joke, Steven.
And yeah, getting some little catching up here.
Yeah, the purpose of the scene is basically to, pick up where these two characters have been and try to catch them up to speed with the other chapters that have been happening.
I'm impressed that Hanji, I mean, I don't doubt her skills. I'm just impressed that she was able to sew up Levi's face and, do all sorts of things for him. It's just how cool Hanji is.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, she is a woman of science, so I guess, somehow maybe it's something she has some experience with.
I mean, obviously it happened, and I don't doubt it.
One thing that I'm like, I guess it's worth bringing up is, so what she says here is, or she implies, or at least the way I interpreted it is, here, like, as she's stitching his face up, she's basically implying that Levi, the reason why Levi didn't turn into a Titan like the other scouts was because he's an Ackerman. But previously, it seemed like it was more so implied that he didn't turn into a Titan simply because he hadn't drank the wine that contains Zeke's spinal fluid. But here it kind of seems like it's...
I'm not sure. I was actually kind of confused on that as well. Like, I wasn't sure if he had drank the wine or not.
Yeah. Because if I definitely could be wrong, but if I recall, the reason was because he hadn't, like, had any of the wine, but maybe I'm misremembering. But that poses even more questions, like, why are Ackermans not able to transform into Titans, if that is the case? Or maybe this is just Hanji, like, speculating, and she's actually not correct. That could also be a thing. Maybe. Just thought I'd mention that because I don't really know myself.
Well, I'm going to throw something out. Because I'm just thinking about the timing of this all. And yeah, it could all be instantaneous, like her stitching, her pondering, and then her, looks like she's working on the carriage or whatever, when Aaron talks to everybody. But to me, it seems like her stitching the face would be too far, or it would happen before, Zeke howls and turns people into Titans. So what does that sentence mean then? It could be that everyone turns to the Titans, it was everyone that was with Levi at the time when Zeke attacked. And then, Levi was able to get out of the situation. So maybe she's referring to that, and obviously tying that into he's able to survive his injuries. He's able to do all that because he's an Ackerman. He just has that skill and that strong will to live. So what if that's the case? Because how would they know everyone got turned into Titans?
Yeah, no, they definitely don't. Like it's definitely like the not turning into Titan thing is definitely what happened in the forest when he beat Zeke and put Zeke on the carriage and everyone else were turned into Titans. It's definitely that.
Mm-hmm. And so I think what she means by that is, not even the Titans survived. Everyone got turned into Titans, but you were still alive. But it could, but again, it could be
okay. So I see what you mean. So basically, she isn't implying that he would have turned into a Titan, but rather that he would have died to the Titans. Mm-hmm. But he didn't, since he's an Ackerman. Okay.
Right.
That is a way to interpret it.
That could be a way that is meant to be interpreted. But maybe she is also implying that he's an Ackerman and can't turn into a Titan. I don't know.
To that end, if going along with your first idea, James, if the reason why he's surviving is because he did not drink the wine, I think that's a little convenient.
Well, Levi has never been, he doesn't seem like the type to drink on the job.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I agree. It's just that to me that seems too easy. Although to be fair, I don't think we're gonna get much of an explanation past this scene here.
No, I don't think so either.
Maybe we will.
Or I'm not counting on it probably, but
at least with the wine. I mean, there could be if it is because of Ackerman bloodline that he can't transform into a Titan. Then I think there will be some sort of explanation potentially.
Right. Maybe there could be a confirmation. Sure.
But I do think part of it could be that she's just talking about the fact that he was the only one to literally survive despite all those Titans there.
Yeah, I think that is a way to interpret it. I don't know personally how to.
Right,
though.
I'm the same way. Like, which way is it?
Right.
Anyway, didn't mean to spend so long on that one.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. It's up for interpretation. If anyone listening to this has a very clear interpretation of this and feels like they know exactly what is the case, then please enlighten us in the comments. That would be awesome.
Yep.
So moving on. Oh yeah, as we talked about earlier, she receives the message from Eren as he announces the end of the world, and Levi wakes up. And something that makes sense to me, but is kind of, I don't know, feels a bit weird, even though it makes sense, is that Levi is still super set on taking down Zeke. I understand it for Zeke killed Erwin Smith, and he just kind of almost killed Levi too. But the fact that he wants to go after Zeke now feels a little bit, I don't know, it feels strange, since I feel like there's much bigger problems going on right now.
Do you think it's because he's ignorant to the entire situation, or the whole situation? He doesn't know exactly what's going on right now?
Well, I mean, he heard what Eren said, and so whatever information was told to him by Eren, as he told everyone else, he understands that at the very least.
Well, maybe that's enough, but
I do think it is because of his, his vow to Erwin and their, his resolve to kill Zeke. But I do agree with Petter that it almost feels like it's too little, too late.
In a way, yeah.
Although at the same time, I didn't doubt that he would still have his desire to kill Zeke, but I don't know. At this point, it doesn't really. It doesn't feel like it would matter, and it also doesn't feel like Levi should be able to do it. I don't care how weak Zeke is at this point. Levi shouldn't really be able to move, other than sit up.
A problem that I have with this, well, mainly with the next scene, just in general, is he really going to be able to do what he wants? is Levi really gonna be able to kill Zeke?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I'm never gonna say never when it comes to Levi because, well, it's Levi.
Never say never.
Like
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite characters, but still, I'm just like, you really think that you can do that?
Well, consider this.
Okay.
One day after he was blasted, he's already speaking. He's like his head is clear. He's sitting up, and that's just one day after that whole thing happened. And now it seems like another 3 or so days have passed by the end of this chapter. At the end of this chapter, another 3 or so days have passed.
Mm-hmm.
So by then, I wouldn't put it past Levi to be able to, walk around and maybe, swing a sword somewhat well.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
It really. I mean, who knows?
Okay.
I just think it's a possibility that he might be able to fight.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna put it as a possibility, but it does seem like I don't know, like why why does this need to be dragged on?
Exactly.
Granted, you know what? Part of me does think it would have been weird if he all of a sudden just forgot about Zeke. You know what I mean? Because Zeke almost killed him. Zeke was kind of his drive to, get revenge and everything like that. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it doesn't help that we don't know where Zeke is, and the fact that it doesn't feel like Zeke is really playing a role right now at all.
Yeah.
If he was like prominent, if he was the one that was causing the rumbling, then we'd be like, oh yeah, Levi, do it, man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have been hearing some, in my opinion, kind of odd theories with people saying that they think that Zeke might be riding on Eren. And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe, but why? I don't see any reason why that would be a thing.
Yeah. I'm interested to read these when we're done, because I actually want to read a theory or two about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, it's mostly selfish reasons, I feel, why Levi wants to go after Zeke at this point.
Yeah.
It's to...
Yeah, it's mainly for him at this point.
It's for him, and it's for the promise he made to Irvin, and it's and like fulfilling that promise is only going to make himself feel good. So it is ultimately for selfish reasons. But he's always it is in line with his character in a way as well. I feel because he doesn't have Hanji is his commander, but he's always been like you choose like when they were being chased through the forest by the female Titan, he said to Eren like you choose if you're gonna shift into a Titan now or not. Like it's your call, and that's always been a very like big thing with Levi. So like for him to go his own, like to have his own motivations, his own strife, I think makes sense with this character.
Agreed.
One thing that we learn from this scene as it hops over to present day with Levi, Hanji, and Magath and Piek is we for the first time learn Piek's last name, and apparently it is Finger.
Finger.
I didn't catch that upon first reading. Really?
Theo Magath and Piek Finger. So that's what her name is apparently.
Okay.
And there's already been memes about that as well. Like people like taking manga panels and like they enlong like they make her fingers longer, and it just looks really stupid.
Oh boy!
But it is. I have looked it up, even though I didn't know about it before this. Apparently, Finger is a legit last name, so it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering because like I mean, Isayama wouldn't just randomly like that's a cool English word. Let's use that.
Right.
He probably did some research and found obscure.
Yeah. I will say this. I still find it weird that there have been characters, two up to now, that we haven't heard their last names.
Yeah, although they are fewer and fewer. In fact, I think there's only 2 left. At least major ones.
Wow.
Yelena and Onyankopon, I think, are the only ones.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
I just find it interesting that some characters, we knew their last names from the outset, and a lot of characters from the beginning of the manga, we didn't, and we slowly learned that like as we go, which I find to be a little interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I had some. I remember like before, obviously before this chapter, since now we know PX last name and it wasn't anything significant. But I remember before that I had some like ideas. Oh, maybe well, what if PX, what if her lineage has like some kind of significance to it? Because that was the reason we didn't know Levi's last name, for example, for a pretty long time in the story. And then it turned out he was an Ackerman, and we learned that when Kenny comes around and all that.
Right.
Basically, I was thinking, oh, maybe what if PX last name is something that's gonna have like a crucial thing for the story, but I guess not.
Nope.
Yeah, unless like Fingers turns out to be the ultimate villain.
Oh
yeah,
boy.
Piek is gonna save the day. You know it.
No, she's the daughter of the villain.
Oh yeah, things getting complicated.
Anyway, sorry.
One thing I really like in this scene, like, is a little bit of the interaction here between Levi and Magath, where Levi says, "Shoot or listen, it's up to you." Which, first of all, that's a great power move. Like, it's just so like to the point, like, and ballsy. I love it. And then Magath's response to it is, "Then we'll listen before we shoot," which, I don't know, I just love the sound of that, and just those interactions together just just feel so nice. And the fact that he will listen also, like, it gives hope. And I think this chapter is a lot about hope, honestly.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of I mean, Attack on Titan as a whole has a lot of, very bad fates and brutal events and, bad times all around. And the past couple chapters have also been that, we have had a lot of major character deaths lately, as well as just very nasty things going on. But this chapter is actually a very positive chapter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, nothing bad really happened in this chapter, and it's a very hopeful chapter, which I think is a nice change of pace. Some people, I know that is one of the criticisms that a lot of people have had on this chapter, because they felt it was too happy, too chipper, but I don't mind it personally. What do you guys think about that?
I share that sentiment, and we'll talk about my specific opinions on it later.
You share my sentiment or the other people's?
The like other people you've heard from.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I think people are just too gloomy and they just want everyone to die or something like that.
Well,
not everything has to be death every chapter, and
of course.
and everyone's crying and etc.
I
etc. I
agree.
mean, there was crying in this chapter. What more could you want?
Okay, so let me rephrase, and of course I'll elaborate as we go. But I agree that there should be, some levity. Of course, there should be some levity. But a problem that I have with
But was there much levity? There was only the pie thing, really.
Well, I mean, like you guys have been saying, negative things don't always need to happen. But in this chapter in particular, and I talked about this with Petter once I was done reading. I said that this chapter had some moments where it could have felt really impactful for the rest of the manga, and these moments, which we'll get into later, felt brushed off to me a little bit.
Right.
I could agree with that.
We will definitely talk about that when we get to those scenes, because I look forward to that. The last thing here in this scene, though, is one thing. Well, it is one thing that I said. Well, I kind of said I wanted at the end of last month's discussion. Well, I guess I wanted Hanji and Magath to cooperate in some way, and that is what happens here. And it's firstly the thing that I pointed out earlier, where Magath is like, then we'll listen before we shoot, which is, they'll listen, which in itself is a good thing. And then at the end here, when Hanji
He shoots. I'm just
Hanji, yeah, but Hanji is basically doing the thing that, like, the most logical thing, the thing that will give everyone the best chance of success. But it's also a hard step. She's taking the first step in joining and combining forces with the other side. And that's awesome. honestly, I was very doubtful, kind of, that it would happen. Like, I think a lot of people were like,
even though you predicted it.
well, well,
I mean, I felt like it was definitely going to happen.
Yeah, I should say that I wasn't expecting it to happen this easily. Probably. That's probably what I meant.
I mean, I don't know. To me, the circumstances seem so dire that what else are they gonna do?
True.
You know, I mean,
True.
Honestly, if they had dragged it out even longer, I would have been kind of skeptical. It's like, really, you're gonna, like,
yeah, you're right.
You have the end of the world happening right now, and you're letting your pride get in the way. Like, come on. Right. Granted, I guess that could have been a character choice, but I'm fine with this choice because, again, in the circumstances, it just makes sense to, put past resentment aside and work together, especially since they kind of have a common goal at this point.
Right, that's true. It was a pretty popular fan theory for a while, and like long ago, like before the rumbling started, was that Eren would become the villain to everyone, and that all of the other characters and nations would join forces against Eren. Was always kind of not always, but for a pretty long time was a pretty popular theory.
I believed it. Like, I was one of the person who thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I remember we would talk about it. And, no, like, why would he do that? Or I forget what the arguments were. And I'm not saying that I'm sold on that's how he's going to have it end, per se, but it does seem more likely, because he is definitely the antagonist at this point to everyone's story.
Right. Like, I was talking with Patter before we started recording today. I was like, everyone is being, especially in these last couple or a few chapters, everyone's being united against a common goal right now.
Yeah. And maybe that is for the best. Maybe that is the future Eren saw, and he knew that that's what he had to do.
But then you think about what was so ghastly that Eren's father, Grisha, was so devastated by,
Yeah, I don't know.
Granted, maybe this is it. Maybe this is so ghastly because it starts to happen.
Right.
Like, the rumbling starts happening, and he goes, and he's almost there, but then they end up stopping him at the end of the day. But maybe just that whole concept to Grisha seemed ghastly. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, just honestly, just seeing, I mean, because I feel like the Colossal Titans, man, I don't even know. Like, I don't know why for some reason I just thought of something that I hadn't thought of before. So, Eren and the and the Wall Titans, I should say. Eren and the Wall Titans have had, like, at the end of this chapter, like, 3 or so days to march out of Paradise. Like, sure, they're probably not moving very fast, but they've probably covered quite a lot of ground, I imagine.
Well, as we see in this chapter, that they're still rumbling, like the ground is still shaking as the Wall Titans are moving, and then at a certain point, someone says, "Finally, the shaking has stopped." At least in one section of the island. So, I guess that's something to consider.
Yeah, well, they do say that, that's the last of them. Like, the last ones have marched off now. Moving forward, I suppose we get to see it's during the following night, and a lot of our characters are having some problems sleeping.
Yeah, and this is what kind of why I brought it up, because I think part of it has to do. I think someone else mentions, like, some NPC guy mentioned something about not being able to sleep very well because of the shaking. Maybe I'm misremembering. But I think obviously they have a lot more on their minds than just the ground shaking as the Wall Titans walk.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think these are some important, will be maybe some important character growth moments for these characters. I mean, I don't think they'll be like, I remember when I was sitting in bed thinking about it. I don't think that they'll have anything like that per se, but I think we'll see some interesting choices for these characters that we think may have been made in this chapter, like later on, but I'll go into that, what I think in a bit. But obviously Jean and Mikasa and Historia, Reiner,
Annie.
Annie. Did I say Historia? I meant Annie. They all have important. Well, Reiner's just still sleeping, but they all
Reiner's sleeping. Yeah,
he's still sleeping, and he's
in a coma, guys.
He's in a coma. But anyway, they all have important decisions to make, and some of them make him this chapter. Some of them will probably make him in the future. But that's just what I'm.
And Connie as well, sitting there trying to.
Connie, yeah, you're right.
At the end here, Connie's thought monologue here as he's sitting there watching Falco, and this monologue is very. First of all, very much in character. I love it in that regard, and also it's so sad at the end there when he's like, "Sasha, would you have understood?" It's because he feels so alone right now. Everyone thinks that what he's doing is wrong, and I guess he's second guessing himself. But of course, oh my god.
And when I read that, I thought, would Sasha have understood? At first, I automatically thought, no, I don't think so. Then I was like, okay, let's think about it. Would she have understood? No, I don't think so. I don't think she would have agreed. I think she would have just maybe even kind of slapped him upside the head and be like, what are you doing, doofus?
Right, yeah, totally.
But maybe I'm misunderstanding Sasha's character.
No, but I think you're right about that. I don't think she would have supported him in this either. Moving into Ragako Village. And oh boy, this this scene, I will say, I don't know, most people I've talked to haven't felt this way, but for me, I felt so much tension in this scene. Especially
I did too.
For the entire scene almost, for various reasons. First of all, we got pretty early here, as they're riding into Ragako, we got Falco kind of catching on a bit to what. Well, he feels like there's something fishy going on. Why aren't we going to the hospital? Why are we in Ragako Village? And as he's starting to figure things out, sort of, that obviously brings a lot of tension because while I'm not rooting for Connie, I'm still kind of sort of. I don't know. It just makes for a very tense scene, I think. And then the Titan reveal, or Connie's mom, followed by the strangely awkward and comedic, or I don't even know what it is. It's just kind of weird.
Gosh, I didn't know.
Connie's taking up the brushes. Want to help me brush your teeth?
So this was one of those moments where it kind of was going as I thought it would go. Okay, he's gonna show her Falco's gonna be like, wait, something's fishy going on. Nothing. It was pretty standard stuff. And then he pulls out the toothbrushes and it's like, we're gonna brush the teeth. What in the world? Maybe he had a change of heart. Okay. I mean, I kind of figured there would be a change of heart, but not like this. All right, I'll follow it. And then he's like, okay, we're going to do it from the scaffolding. Oh, gosh dang it, Connie.
So,
man.
So here we go with one of my semi problems with this chapter. It might not have been in Connie's character, and honestly, Connie's character in this entire scene is really weird.
I think it's in line, to be honest.
With the brushes and everything. Okay.
Well, I mean, he is a goofball.
He is a goofball, but he's also insanely stressed out right now. Just imagine, because he's not only is he second guessing himself, he hasn't made up. He doesn't know if what he's doing is right or not, and
right.
And even if he's going to try to do it, which he's probably leaning toward here, it's an awful thing to do, and it's also a pretty difficult thing to accomplish, to get this kid into his mother's mouth. There's a lot. He's incredibly stressed out, and I can definitely buy that Connie would kind of react in this way under that amount of pressure.
I would have liked for him to have a moment of honesty with Falco. I don't like how Isayama just played it for a joke and it's like, oh, time to go brush your teeth. That just seems like it detracted away from what I personally wanted the scene to be.
But why would Connie have acted honestly with Connie here, or with Falco here? Sorry, he wants his mother back. So why would he be honest with a person that he needs to deceive?
I need you to go inside my mom's mouth. Just do that for me, can you?
Pretty please.
I didn't mean he was gonna ask him.
Okay. But what did you mean? Sorry.
Like, mainly just like on the way to the shed or whatever. Just explain the situation to Falco. Falco's a smart kid.
What situation?
Why he's being taken to a ravaged village.
Okay, so he would say that he needs the kid to jump into Titan's mouth.
Yeah, like...
Why would he say that? Like, saying that would ruin his chances. Because then Falco would realize immediately...
I mean, unless Falco's feeling, suicidal, like, you know what, I feel like killing myself today. I feel like being a sacrifice.
I really wish there was a better way for me to describe this. Yeah. Because I'm not meaning for it to sound crazy and ridiculous and overblown. I'm meaning for it to sound like somber in a way, I guess. I don't know.
But
this is the second time I've failed to explain the situation.
But like, so the thing is that Connie knows that if he were to explain these things in a somber way with or to Falco, that would ruin his chances entirely of getting of getting Falco inside of his mother's mouth.
And who knows? Maybe he would talk himself out of it. If he would straight up say,
yeah.
But why would he start
saying, Falco, I need you to get inside my mom's mouth so she could become a Titan and you die? Maybe he'd be like, oh man, that's a horrible thing to say.
Okay,
so maybe he didn't want to say that. You know?
Right, you're right. That's more of my idea. Is that would be, huh?
So that you thought he was going to do that, and then he'd explain the situation, be like, "Oh wait, I'm a doofus," and they just go home skipping, throwing flowers along the path as they go.
Instead of having it just be the two of them, and then result in Connie changing his mind or his philosophy, as the scene progresses, you have Armin just jumping up, getting ready to, quote unquote, fake out Connie for Connie to save Armin. And then...
No, Armin was legit gonna kill himself.
Yeah,
Armin's not
very
faking
suicidal
that
right now.
Did you see Armin last chapter? He was a mess.
I'm worried about Armin.
Yeah, he is.
Either way,
distressed.
like before this intervention, I think that the scene could have been resolved like what you described, James, just between the two of them.
I don't see any realism in that personally, honestly, because as I said, Connie wants his mom back. He wants Falco to get eaten by her. So there's no logic. It doesn't make sense for him to get clear with Connie that way.
What I will say though is that I think it wouldn't have changed what happens really at the end, aside from Connie and Armin kind of coming to a better understanding of each other by the end, I suppose. So you do, by doing it that way, by having just Connie explain what his plan is and then be like, oh, that's dumb, you do miss out on some of that interaction and that I guess you could say progress of character. But I will say, either way, I do think this whole situation of Connie taking Falco to his mom, it's just been pointless. Like I really don't think it adds much to the story, other than you just see Armin, being more down on himself, Connie, not being as mad anymore, and I guess Gabby and Falco are gonna be lovers soon. I don't know, like there really wasn't much of a reason for it all. I guess you could argue, well, it brought Gabby together with the Armin and Mikasa and all of them. Yeah, you can argue that, and that's fine. But I think it just seemed like filler, if you will. But
okay,
that's my opinion.
And then, once again, as the scene progresses, you have Armin just jumping at the, opportunity. I think that this was a very much in-line move for his character after the last scene he was in last chapter.
Yeah, exactly.
With his breakdown with Mikasa.
Yes, he was not faking that. He was legit going to sacrifice himself to bring Connie's mom back to life, or back to a human.
I mean, I think he was prepared for that, but I also think he felt like Connie would save him. You know what I mean? Like he put his faith in Connie that he would do it, and that he would save him. But at the same time, he was prepared to die if need be.
Yeah, what I meant by like fake doing it was basically he was not 100% thinking that he was going to get eaten. He did have a like portion of the back of his head just like Connie's going to save him. Connie's going to do the right thing.
I do think it was a faith exercise. Like I'm gonna fall backwards and you're gonna catch me, kind of thing.
Yep.
Maybe. I'm not sold on that, but I'm not saying.
Okay. I don't know, why aren't you sold on that? I mean, I agree that he was willing to die, but I think he was also counting on Connie saving him.
Possibly, maybe. But
you can't disagree with me. I mean, you disagree, but you can't bring up anything to support it.
No, like I definitely I cannot. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I am not convinced of that specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like you say, this scene feels like filler, and I understand what you mean. I don't agree though, because I feel like there were a lot of, like, we had Connie's change of heart, and one other thing I need to say, that if Connie had talked it through with Falco and changed his mind that way, it wouldn't have been at all as satisfying as it was with Armin teaching this lesson to Connie. Like, if Connie had figured it out on his own, it wouldn't have felt as as realistic.
Right, and that's what I was saying. Is that this way there's much more impact and
absolutely
a relationship building. But I do think in total, like, you could almost get away with not having it. Like, it doesn't seem like it adds much to the overall narrative, other than, oh no, Connie's doing something, better go stop him. But like I feel bad because you obviously do like it, but I just it wasn't the best moment. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it didn't seem needed.
I loved this scene for, like, and as I said, like, this entire scene to me was super, like, full of suspense. I talked about why I thought that for the first half of the scene, but even after Armin and Gabby arrive at the scene, we got like, I legit thought Armin was going to die here. When I read this chapter the first time, yes.
Oh, come on!
For a moment, I did.
It had to have been obvious that Connie was gonna catch him. Like, there's no way.
It wasn't obvious to me.
No, I didn't think Armin was gonna jump in and offer himself the sacrifice like he did. That was surprising. It was like, oh wow, okay. But it was obvious to me. It was obvious, like, what his intentions were.
So this is one of the scenes that I was talking about when we started, where I referred to, like, there's two scenes in this chapter that could have had an impact but didn't, and this is one of them to me.
Well, I'm not gonna say it didn't have an impact.
Yeah, in fact, I think James already used the word impact to describe the scene partially. So
yeah,
I didn't get a lasting impression, like, characters outside of Connie, like, characters grew. Like, Armin is still the way he was, well, the way he's been, building up to be ever since, this whole arc started. The only character who really changed is Connie, and Connie is a background character. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
Okay.
I don't think he's a background character. He's
because I agree with James on surface level that this scene it can be seen as filler.
Well, another thing I'm just trying to point out all the things I liked about this.
Please do go right ahead.
Another thing that I felt was like well, I actually have both good and bad things to say about this specific thing. Is when Gabby and Armin come riding in, we pretty much immediately we got Gabby shouting, or telling Falco that he is the Jaw Titan, or that he has inherited the Jaw Titan, and then we got like just a few panels. We got him like we get to see Falco's expression, his face, and like even when he's being held by Connie with a sword and all, like Falco isn't struggling at all. He's just shocked. He's just like, and understandably so, because there's a lot going through his mind. He's got like, okay, so I guess Porco is dead, and and his brother too, which would have, well, I mean, I'm assuming he can figure out that his brother is dead as well, based on that.
Yeah.
So there's just so much going on. The sad part about this is that they don't really like the chapter doesn't really go into depth there, which could have been nice to see some more of his despair, like in reaction to that. We kind of see it like after Armin is almost eaten by Connie's mom at the end of the scene. We kind of see like
he even says like Colt's name.
Right, yeah, but it's just like in the background while Connie and Armin are talking. So like it's shoved aside.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, they aren't the main cast, really. You know, I mean,
and I mean, to be fair, I don't like Falco especially is really not among my favorite characters. He's not bad, but he's not great either. So like I admittedly don't care too much about him, but could have been nice to see some more emotion from him, maybe. That's like fair. Just like up close. That's probably my biggest gripe with this scene. All of your gripes, I don't agree with any of them.
They can rot in hell for all I care.
Yeah.
That's fair. And hopefully earlier I didn't say this scene didn't have any impact. Did I say that?
You might not have.
No, you said it had impact.
Oh, good, because yes, I did think it had impact, and maybe that contradicts me saying it's filler as well. But I do think like there was some character progression.
Yeah. Okay.
But I do think at the end of the day, it was a little disappointing compared to some of the build up. Although I think I remember I said this when Connie first took Falco. I kind of groaned, you know, and I was like, oh great, we're gonna have this thing where they're gonna go have to save Falco, and there's gonna be Connie's gonna have a change of heart and etc. But I don't know. Yeah. But again, I guess it's just tastes and whatnot. But,
yeah, absolutely. Well, one other thing, like obviously we got some like the reveal for Falco with some people that he cared about now being dead, and the big one being Connie's change of heart, which happened not because of his own doing, but because of Armin's interaction, which I think makes a lot more sense than if he had gotten changed his mind on his own. But we also get to see kind of the results of Armin's shitty mental state right now, which we saw building up in the previous chapter, and now we see he's even to the point where he's willing to just die.
Well, put his life
if it's and if it's for the sake of bringing people together, like cause that was what he would have done probably. But he achieved the same thing by living now, thanks to Connie saving him. But yeah, I think it is a good scene, and to me, it was I was kind of on the edge of my seat throughout this entire scene when I first read it.
Really?
Okay.
Interesting. Well, I will say I did get on my edge of the seat when Armin hopped on the pillar like he did. I was like, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay.
And I kind of expected him to do that, just because it's been building up for so long.
That he would threaten to dive into Connie's mother's mouth, like that. That is definitely a literary thing that.
Would I predict that it was going to happen? No, but am I so shocked and surprised that it happened? Not really. Not too much.
Yeah, you're right. To be fair, like there was something dramatic going to happen. Like, you know, it would have been even more disappointing if that didn't happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in preparation for this discussion, I took volume 4 of the Attack on Titan manga out of my bookshelf, and there's a little thing there which I thought was a nice thing to kind of back up Connie's behavior in a way, and just kind of show that it's in character and it's a nice continuity thing for the story as a whole. And as I said, this is volume 4. The chapter is 18, so it was very early on in the story, and it's the chapter where Keith Shadis, as it were, is like giving some, or like he's sharing his little comments about each of the trainees, like the cadets. And what he has to say about Connie Springer is this. Connie Springer, he has a fine sense of balance and is effective at vertical maneuvering. However, he's got a slow mind and often makes strategic mistakes. That last bit especially. Like he's got a slow mind. He isn't the brightest, and he makes mistakes like strategically, and but he is a good guy, so he just needs the push to be pushed over the edge of understanding that what he's doing isn't really a good thing.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I do think it was in character. I said that. Right. I said that even when this first started, it was totally in character.
Absolutely.
I just think it was just a little annoying. It's like, why does that happen? But anyway.
I do think it's nice, though, for characters like Connie to get a little bit more panel time or screen time.
Yeah,
panel
that's
time
fair.
And, like, because he didn't get too much before. Like, Jean had a pretty good, like, the past 2 chapters, I think Jean had a pretty good presence. So it was nice to see some more Connie in this chapter, I thought.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought he was gonna say he's a mama's boy, and I was like, well, he's not wrong. I think we kind of beat this scene to a pulp at this point.
Yeah, you guys definitely have.
Yeah,
but it's fine. I thought it had impact, just enough impact, and just enough suspense. Anyway, next scene, quite short and quite strange, I must say.
I agree.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the next scene for the listening people is the little scene in the hospital room between Louise and Mikasa.
Obviously I've been a big advocate for this scene, and I was having all sorts of predictions. I didn't predict that she'd be on a hospital bed,
right?
Giving it to Mikasa. I thought there would have been some sort of battle that happened, and then they hand it to each other. But I did have an inkling that, because she died, Louise dies, right? They don't confirm that.
I think it's implied that she will die like maybe an hour or so after this. I don't know. Like,
okay.
She's dying anyway.
Right. So I kind of figured that would happen, but it wasn't as impactful. There's that word. It wasn't as impactful as I was hoping, but I do think it's another one of those build-up moments. Because obviously Mikasa was in a state where she was trying to understand mentally, who do I serve? Like, what is my purpose? Am I just serving Eren just because, the blood things, and it's just in my blood to do that? Or am I doing it because I love him? And she wasn't sure at that moment. And maybe she was trying to put away that devotion that she believed she had, put away that scarf, and put it down and walk away from it. And obviously Louise, saw it and fangirled and kept it and showed it to Eren and whatnot. And I think her taking it back is going to be a signal that she is making the choice out of her own free will to maybe protect Eren. I don't know. We'll see how good that goes. I know I'm talking a lot, but I do want to bring up another point in that Eren said that he wanted her to throw the scarf away. If you remember back to their vision that Eren had when they were going through his memory memories, there was a point where he stared at Eren and Mikasa sharing that moment when Eren gave Mikasa the scarf, I believe.
Yeah.
And he looked very sad. I think that's because he felt that was the moment that Mikasa lost her freedom. That Mikasa lost the ability to choose for herself. And so what's going to happen in the future is Mikasa's going to prove to Eren that that's not the case, that she chose this for herself, that she chose to protect Eren, to fight for him or whatever. But that's just my speculation.
That is a nice speculation, I will
Yeah.
say.
We've been talking about, her build up for just this big moment that she might have in the future, especially with the last chapter, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing her continue to, progress through these scenes. I just hope the payoff is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too, because I'd be so disappointed if the red scarf just like ends here. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Really?
It's just never brought up again.
Okay, it can't be. There has to be like some sort of choice she makes, or Eren recognizes it, or something. And I know you, Pedro, you haven't given your thoughts, but I have one more thing.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm waiting.
when Eren said those awful things to Armin and Mikasa way back when at the table, I remember I was almost defensive of or I refused to believe that Eren really meant that. And over time, I think I've come to the conclusion that either he completely meant it, or he meant it but not at the scale as which he said it. Because as I said before, he definitely has some sort of maybe some guiltiness that he potentially took Mikasa's freedom. So with that red scarf representing that freedom, if you will, perhaps that will spark something in Eren's mind, or have some sort of play in the future. Anyway, Peter, what are your thoughts?
I like your speculations. This 2-page scene is probably my least favorite scene in this chapter.
Fair.
Because, well, first of all, seeing Mikasa acting this ice cold with a dying child is very unsettling to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is, like, the way she's just completely mean and just, like, I'm not digging it.
I would have liked to have more of a moment between those two.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, she's always kind of been cold to her. It's almost like she's this superstar idol, and there's just one obsessive fan who's not crazy or anything like that, but just slightly annoying and has no relationship with this person really. It's almost that kind of well, I'm going to use the word relationship. It's almost that kind of relationship. But I do agree that it is very cold. But I guess it shows, to me, it also shows that Mikasa chooses who she cares for.
or really?
Or, well, I mean, I still have the belief that she can choose, because obviously she cares for Armin, and Armin doesn't have any sort of blood that she would want to protect. So I think she has some choice.
Yeah.
It's just her struggle is that, she's just so. What's the word? There's something dede for it. I don't remember what it is. But anyway, yeah, she has trouble expressing her emotions.
I mean, she's pretty introverted.
Introverted, I guess you could say. But no, but at the same time, I do agree with you that it was very cold of her, especially how when Louise told her about the scarf and what Eren asked her to do, her eyes kind of go wide, and then she's like, "Give it back."
Right.
I guess it goes back to potentially there being a conflict or a meaning behind that with Eren and Mikasa's relationship, but it also just shows that, man, she only cares about Eren, really.
Yeah, it's so dubious to me, because also, what's the deal? I don't get the deal with the scarf right now. Like, she put it aside for a day, if that.
Well, again, I think,
then she takes it back again. Like, why? What's the? I don't personally see that.
I think it's because, and maybe it hasn't been explained very well. I mean, maybe that's not fair of us to say, but maybe it hasn't. But I do think it's because she was obviously conflicted when Eren told her that she's a slave. When they're at the table, like, she's a slave to her protecting Eren. She's kind of he hates people who don't have freedom.
Yeah.
Maybe she kind of took that to heart. It was like, no, I have freedom. I can choose what I want. I don't need your stupid scarf, and she leaves it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time goes on, she realizes that perhaps she wants to be there for Eren. I don't know.
But we haven't seen that character development. There hasn't been any character development between these 2 points when she put the scarf aside and taking it back.
But I do think she is thinking though. Like, for example, there was that moment with Armin. And then Armin told her to think for herself, and she's like, "Oh crap, have I been thinking for myself?"
True. There was that scene.
Yeah, and I think that may have had an impact for her to try to find the scarf, because she goes and looks for the scarf. She's like, "Where'd it go?" So she obviously, at that moment, had a desire to find that.
Right. That is.
But I agree with you. I don't think it has been particularly as satisfying and in depth as I would like. But I'm hoping there's a good payback at the end.
Absolutely.
With it. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm fanboying too much about Mikasa. Mikasa would ignore me on my deathbed. Let's just say that.
I think I don't really have a whole lot to say on this scene, mainly because I think this was a scene to just, I think Isayama just wants Mikasa to have the scarf. I think that's what the scene was for.
You think that's the only reason she got it back was because Isayama wants her to have a scarf around her neck?
But then,
No.
Why? Then why did she leave it? Like Peter was saying, why did she leave it there? Like when she did. She's obviously thinking about something. There's something going on in her mind right now about choice and freedom and who she is as a person and what she wants. That is some sort of conflict inside of her. But obviously that hasn't been explained as well as I would hope.
Yes, and I agree, because I don't think there was enough dialogue to solidify that to me in this one scene.
That's fair. I know I'm kind of a one-man army on this whole thing. Like, I've been hyping this whole interaction for so long, and this is what I get. I'm trying to compensate in some cases, but I can see why everyone's disappointed.
At least we have someone defending the scene. Like, you're defending this scene, I defended the previous scene. We gotta have someone.
Yeah, that's true.
So my point, basically, to coincide with your idea, James, is just I don't think that this scene, because it was so short and not a whole lot of interaction happened, it wasn't really all that important.
Yeah.
Other than that,
for now, it could be more important.
The scarf will play a role in another scene with Mikasa.
Well, maybe she'll bring up, why did you tell Louise to burn the scarf? Maybe Mikasa will bring that up to Eren.
Right. Maybe that will be.
Because again, she did go wide-eyed when she heard that.
Yeah.
One last thing I'll say. I keep going on.
Go on.
Is that would it have been weird if Mikasa was in tears with her dying, or even just like talking to her much? Like, would that have been out of character for her? Granted, it may have been more satisfying, but would that have been in line with Mikasa?
I don't know.
Talking more, I don't think she would have needed to talk more, but I think she could have acted differently. She wouldn't have necessarily needed to say more, like talk more, but just show a little bit more compassion. Just in general.
But would that have been out of character?
I don't think it would have been out of character. This is a dying girl that she has known for a couple years. I mean, Louise was also in Marley when they attacked Liberia. Mm-hmm. It's like they've been fighting together for at least for however long Louise has been in the military, which I mean I imagine would at least be a year or two. So they've known each other. They fought together. And the fact that Mikasa is acting this like stone cold, ice cold with her in her dying moments is just so unsettling.
Yeah. If there was a moment for her to break out of her shell in the last, I guess, days at this point. I think part of that would be in here, but it did not happen. I think so. Because
anyway, I didn't mean to talk about this as long as we did, but
it's fine. It's only 2. We took how many minutes talking about 2 pages? It's fine.
Oh, we did the last thing with the Keith Shottis scene last chapter, so which is also just 2 pages.
So there you go.
So yeah, moving on to Flock doing his speech of freedom.
Boo.
And oh boy. And at this point, since everyone who's listening to this has read the chapter, at this point I imagine the plan is already in motion. The plan to get the group together has already been orchestrated, I imagine.
Real quick in this panel, one random guy says, "End of the rumbling line, eh? Yeah, finally we'll be free of this ground shaking." Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that's what I meant. Like maybe when they were trying to not specifically these people, but maybe they're having trouble sleeping because of the ground shaking.
Right. I mean,
really a small fact, but this is I just wanted
trying to bring that back.
Well, no. Well, I'm just saying there was a reason why I said that. It was because of this. So anyway.
Okay.
Just wanted to
sure.
put that.
Absolutely. And I don't know if they specify here the amount of days that have passed, but I feel like I read somewhere like 3 days, but maybe that was just Reiner's coma would last for 3 days.
Yeah.
That might have been the 3-day thing that I read. But anyway, I think the plan to get the team together, the Avengers Assemble, is already in motion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't seen that as readers.
No.
And not knowing about that, obviously, it's a little bit worrying to see Jean there behind Flock.
Yeah.
At least, like, first time through the chapter is like, oh my god, Jean, are you still licking his ass? Or I don't know. That is a pretty short little bit there with all that. And then before we move on to the pie scene.
Ying!
Oh boy.
And here's this scene, before we get into the meat of it.
You mean the filling?
Yes. Well, all that is in the pie. There is... this is one of the scenes where I have seen criticism.
Really?
I have had people... Well, so one thing is I've seen people think it's weird and wrong and kind of like morally very wrong for the Eldians to celebrate the fact that the rest of the world is dying, but but they're not. They're not so like I've like so basically I've seen people interpret it as they're having a feast with pies and drinks and stuff because everyone outside is dying, but that's not why they're celebrating. They're celebrating because they're not under oppression anymore. They're free at long last. That's why they're celebrating. Not because everyone else is dying. Everyone else is dying, yes, but that's not the reason why they're celebrating.
Yeah.
The way I interpret it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't even realize it was a celebration. I just figured that it's lunchtime. Hooray!
Oh, no, this is definitely like, oh my god.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. It's a celebration.
Okay, we're free! Long live the Jaegerists! Well, you know, they're... It's a celebration with pie. Like, they don't have, like, the economy to eat this much pie on a regular occasion.
Yeah, it must be a meat pie or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like there's a couple different types of pies, actually.
Right. So anyway, that's interesting. I didn't know it was that controversial.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But I think this goes back to, I think it was last chapter when Hitch and whoever her partner was at the time were helping people out. Like, there were people who were saying they're happy for Aaron, but then other people who were saying, gosh dang, I can't believe he did all this.
Yeah, because there were casualties and...
Right. So I think we saw that there was already sympathizers and people who were, you know, looking at this as an absolute win.
Right. Yeah.
At the time, and not without really thinking about the consequences, if you will. Like they were justifying it as, yeah, we've been killed for so long and persecuted. You know, it's fine that they get their just ends. Like it's time for our freedom.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't think it's really evil of them.
No.
I just think it's the natural reaction, to be
Exactly.
honest.
It's a very human reaction, like anyone. Like, you don't have to be a sociopath to react this way. Like, anyone
Right.
in the right mind would naturally react this way, especially because they're well, first they were oppressed by Titans for 100 years, and then when they learned the truth about the world, it kind of got even worse, and they learned that people all over the world hate us, and us specifically, and they were under that whole pressure and threat, and now at long last they're free of that, and that's it's a very natural reaction.
Yeah, I agree. I guess I'm just really confused why people would have an issue with this. I don't get it.
Let's get down to the pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the odds that Annie would end up sitting right next to Armin eating pie,
like, did
stuffing
not
her
even
mouth?
see that coming, man. Like, they're just chilling. It's like, do you think Annie's back? I don't know. Wait a minute. But I love, because when you see Annie, it's like, what? And I went back and I was just like, wait. Oh yeah, she's there.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I actually saw her there before, before she was like
really?
obviously in the
Man,
picture. I was like, what? I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, it's
Dude,
very, very
that's
nice.
awesome. I totally didn't catch it. They caught me, man. I do love that face she makes.
It's awesome. Like this chapter had a lot of those like just goofy faces. It was like previously we had the Connie with the brushes face, and now we got Annie stuffing her face with pie face. Oh my goodness. I like it. It's a nice comedic thing, and something else that I think is funny. Well, Connie starting out bursting out in laughter, seeing Annie like that. Like at first I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, at first I did too.
She was, after all, like, she killed a bunch of soldiers, and like she was a very serious enemy of theirs. But then I started thinking a little bit more about it, and like she was encased in that crystal for 4 years. They've kind of had a lot of time to, I guess, come to terms with what she did, and also they've learned more about like her situation. Yeah, right. And I think they're able to understand her better, and like to kind of understand that what she did wasn't necessarily evil, you know.
I honestly, I was just taken aback by Connie's like reaction. It's like, what's wrong with her stuffing her face with pie? Come on.
But here's the thing. I realized, or I did some research, and I realized that I think it's during I don't know if I can't remember if it's during the when they're like figuring out that Annie is the female Titan, or if it's when they're figuring out that Bertolt and Reiner are their Titans. But it's like during one of those scenes where they're talking, that they kind of like flash back to after they already had figured it out. Sasha says something about, I thought it was weird that Annie likes sweets so much, or like she likes sweet food or something like that. And like, just one of those like kind of just passing by comments that Sasha made about Annie, that she likes sweet food. And I think that could be just one of those reasons why Connie reacts this way. He's like just kind of like a lot of like just a lot of emotions just bursting out of him when he sees Annie stuffing her face with supposedly sweet pie.
Interesting.
Potentially, I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah.
And I do feel sorry for Hitch. Getting the bag.
I do too. I was like,
pie there. Like, aw. Like, couldn't they have brought her along too?
Hitch got ditched.
Did you just say Hitch got ditched?
Hitch got ditched.
She did.
You're not wrong. Hashtag Hitch
It's
got
sad,
ditched.
but I guess
Very
you know, she would have been too many waifus. I don't know.
I do think that was a very, in all seriousness, I do think that was a very good cap off to this this scene here with the pies.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for her, but I guess it's it is what it is. Also, I want to know how they're able to eat pie so easily like that. Like it's gotta be meat. Well, and maybe it could be dessert pie. I don't know. It's just how do you cut the triangles that perfectly and just like pull it out with your hand without it just falling over the place?
Asking the important questions. In
I
life
really am.
On Titan
I really
Tea Time.
Yep.
But anyway, I didn't.
You know, like
I like
yeah.
this scene a lot, and I can't wait to see it animated.
Absolutely.
Sure, absolutely.
Some people like gore. I like girls stuffing their face with pie. Okay? Deal with it.
Dude, yeah, totally respectable. I approve. I approve.
Don't kink shame me.
No, I am not. I'm into it too.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So, okay, next scene. And this is also, I guess, a little bit somewhat controversial. We got like a public execution, but I don't know. It's Flock.
It's Flock. Screw that guy, right? Am I right?
Yeah. That's it. I like him as a character.
Okay. Well, sure.
I think he's very enjoyable as a fictional character.
Yeah. I mean, but
But I hate his guts.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And yeah, we have basically the two characters, at least as far as I can think right now, the two characters without last names are the ones that are up to get executed here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yelena and Onyankopon. At least out of the other major characters, I think these are the only ones.
Interesting. So I have a theory about Yelena's last name, but it's maybe far-fetched.
Do share. I'm always interested in theories.
It's just kind of silly. I can't remember his name. It happens at the very end of the chapter when, or maybe am I getting ahead of myself if it's something at the close to the end of the chapter? Maybe we should wait.
It's up to you. If you want to talk about it now or later.
Let's wait till we get to that point.
Yeah. Do you think it'll help if we discuss it first?
No, I don't think we'll add to
before you go into it. Okay.
No, I don't think so. Let's wait until we get to that point, and then I'll show.
All right.
Alrighty.
Okay.
We get some lines from Yelena in this. Well, it's actually just one line. But she has been very quiet in the past couple chapters, and here she finally says something. And it's basically just, "Are you going to shoot yet?"
Kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, the crowd is hungry for their deaths.
Mm-hmm.
I like the scene with Onyankopon here, like his, like the things that he says, his confession, kind of about his reasons being there and all that.
It really makes you care about him more, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think this was a very good scene for him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see where this is going to lead now, because in this scene we got Jean firing his pistols, bam, 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 bam. And I know Steven has some issues here, so please talk about that so I can defend it.
So, once I was reading the chapter, I basically thought about the scene for a while, tried to marinate on it a little bit, and I don't feel as strongly as I did once I finished reading, but I still don't like the fact that he's like, "Oh, I missed." It's like, you either shoot or you don't. And you can't really, on purpose, miss on Yakupon here as he's kneeling down. It just goes to the scene.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Of course, his plan is not to shoot him. The signal was 4 shots. Like,
yeah, it was the signal for the Jaw Titan to come and do the thing.
That's why he shot. That was their plan. Like, okay, I'm gonna shoot 4 times. When you hear that, come take us. And they were gonna save Yelena and Oyakupon, or however you say his name.
You're gonna have to cut me out then, because I missed that entirely.
No, like, we're keeping this for the sake of the discussion. We're keeping this, but it's fine. He obviously missed on purpose because it was the signal for the other people that they had planned ahead of the scene. Does that make you understand the scene better, Steven?
Yes, very much so. Because when I was reading and when I was talking about it with Petter, it was not mentioned to me.
Well, I said that Jean definitely missed on purpose, and that when he says, like, "Oh, I missed," that was just like him kind of teasing Flock. Mm-hmm. Right? At least that's the way I interpret it. Because the shots were obviously the signal, as Connie and Mikasa point out after this.
When Jean says he missed, Flock kind of has a look on his face.
Exactly. He's like, "You fucking with me?" Like, yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
I feel so embarrassed right now.
Dude, it's fine, Steven. It's fine. It's easy to miss things. Like, everybody misses stuff sometimes. You know, like, it took me up until like the end of the Marley arc to understand that Piek was that mule titan in the Return to Shiganshin arc.
Yeah.
That's my derpy moment.
All right.
My existence is a derpy moment.
It's just that I missed that one scene. I read the chapter, and then I was like, man, this, that, and the other thing, I don't like this scene. It doesn't have any consequences. And then and then I am rereading the conversation that I had with Petter.
Right, we talked about it. And I guess I didn't understand that you didn't understand that you didn't understand that the 4 shots were a signal.
That
so
I didn't remember it from the last chapter? Yeah.
So I did, no they didn't point it out in the last chapter. They pointed it out in a couple pages after this in this chapter.
Oh.
When Connie is like, hear that? And Mikasa is like, 4 gunshots in a row. That's the sign from Jean to continue the operation.
Okay.
That's where it's pointed out.
All right.
But I didn't understand that you hadn't realized that, so that's why I didn't point it out to you before.
Yeah, I did not catch that.
But yeah, now
Okay.
we're all up to speed.
I feel so embarrassed.
Dude, it's fine. Like, as I said, like I didn't understand until the chapter where Sasha was killed that the Cart Titan was the same as in the Return to Shiganshin arc.
Okay.
That was a big like what when I realized that. Anyway, Piek arrives and gets Onyankapan, Yelena, and Jean away, and they escape on some carriages with some supplies. And we see a figure in the window looking down at them as they're making their escape.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's Keith Chavez, but
Yeah.
what do you guys think?
That was the first thought that came to my mind, but it's so hard to tell, and I don't know who else it could be.
Yeah. Like, the silhouette, I can't think of anyone that matches that silhouette better than Keith. But, I mean, I guess we'll see. I think we'll see pretty soon.
Probably. It is possible.
I would say Pixis, but we know he's dead.
Oh,
So no.
Yep. Sadly.
Oh, why did you have to say that?
I miss Pixis.
He was a good old man.
Yeah, I like this character. Anyway.
So they're spat out in a lake or something, or a pond or something. And I love Hanji's like talking to Piek in her Cart Titan form. Is like, don't you ever think to brush your teeth? And Piek is like, that's very rude to say to a woman. I love it. It's the perfect like Attack on Titan humor. Isayama is like, it's not a funny guy most of the time, but when he does it, it's like, I love it. It's so funky. Something I like a lot about Jean, or something he says here in this scene, when Onyankapan is questioning why Jean did this, because Jean could have just as easily not gone on board with this plan and then just stayed with the Jaegerists, and ultimately Jean's decision to join this whole operation, this whole rebel side thing, it was very crucial for it being possible, at least if they wanted Onyankapan and Yelena to be there. They definitely needed Jean's cooperation. But Jean could have just as easily just stayed with the Jaegerists and probably, done pretty well with that, potentially. Obviously we don't know for sure, but I think, he could have done that and it could have worked out. But the fact that he chose to do this and help these guys, that it was because he says, if I did that, those burnt bones would never forgive me. And if you remember...
Do you know what that means?
I know exactly what that means. And for
I
those
was
that don't, I'm going to point it out. It's actually from the same volume as the quotes that I got from Keith Chavez about Connie earlier. Actually, the same chapter too. Chapter 18 in volume 4. And it is after the struggle for trust. They've cleared out the Titans. They sealed the hole with the boulder. And... they found Marco dead, among others. A lot of people died, obviously. And there's a little scene where they're burning all of the dead people. And it's the scene where Jean makes up his mind to join the Scouts. And he, obviously, he was closest to Marco than like out of all of them. And he picks up some bones from the coal, like out of like the ashes, and he like, I don't even know which bones are yours anymore, and it's a really, really sad scene.
So basically, he's saying Marco would never forgive him.
Basically, yeah, he's talking about Marco.
Even though Marco didn't burn to death.
He didn't burn to death, but he was burned after death. Anyway,
fair.
Marco's death affecting Jean still to this day, like 4 or 5 years after his death. Like, it's still affecting him to the extent where he's making a super crucial decision to save the world. And yeah, I just really like that callback, as well as like it's a subtle enough callback to make it so that like it's not too on the nose, but it's still like you're able to figure it out if you got like, well, I guess if you take your time a little bit, or if you're just like me that remembers the burning bones scene from the anime very vividly. Anyway, it's very nice. I thought this is one of my favorite parts of this chapter. One question I have for you guys: what do you guys think Magath wants with Yelena?
So that's where I wanted to bring up the last name thing.
Oh yeah.
So it's probably far fetched, but what if Magath and Yelena are related in some way?
Related?
Or they know or they have some sort of connection with each other, and then maybe that's where the last name will come in. But I don't know. It's a little far fetched, and it only goes off the fact that he specifically was wanting Yelena alive.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, so they say something like something about the cart's power. What was it? Securing you was part of the deal to use the cart's power. Mm-hmm. Talking about the cart titan. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what that means. What does that mean?
Well, I think that means that in order for them to like work with them, like they can use Piek and her cart titan for other means. They had to save Yelena and Oyakumbum first. After that, they can do whatever they want with Piek and the cart titan.
I just wonder what that would be.
Well, I mean, what they did before, like, carrying things, shooting, putting a gun on the back and shooting. I mean, I don't know what that could be, but I think it's just fairly. They had to save Yelena and Oyankama first as part of the deal, and then then they would be allowed to use Piek.
Yeah. Well, so Yelena is not from Marley. She's from some other country. I feel like she's from a country based on like some Slavic country.
Okay.
As opposed to like Marley feels a little bit more Central European. Obviously, it's not the real world, but like Yelena's name is more like Eastern European and all that. So, I mean, I don't want to shoot down your theory about her being somehow related to.
Oh, that's fine.
Magath,
I mean, it was just a thought I had when I read it.
Right.
And or like, what do they have some sort of relationship with each other? Well, I mean, not romantic.
No.
Like,
I got you.
Yeah. Is there more to it? But again, I said this before. Not everyone has to be related to each other, but still, you wonder why specifically he would ask for Yelena to.
Right. One thing that came to mind for me was, if you remember in the Marley arc, when the Paradisians, because Yelena was infiltrating Marley together with the Paradisians during that, like to the end of the Marley arc, and she was wearing like a fake beard, if you recall. And during that infiltration, they're trapping Porco and Piek in like a hole.
Right.
It's thanks to Piek recognizing Yelena for some reason, and I think we haven't gotten into this like after this, but for some reason.
Oh yeah, right. It could be Piek. You're right. There could be. I forgot to say this earlier. Instead of the general, what's his name? It could be that Piek and Yelena have some sort of.
I think they have a shared past of some sort.
Shared past.
Because
yeah. I forgot to say that before, but yeah, I agree that could be a potential
of some kind. I have no idea what it could be though, because obviously they've been against each other here. But because she recognized Yelena even though Yelena was wearing the disguise, and it was thanks to that she was able to get her Panzer crew to come and rescue her and Porco later on from that hole. And when she's asked about how she could recognize that woman, or that, well, I guess some of them thought she was a man at that point, but she says something along the lines of, because she has a personal interest in that individual, something along those lines, in that scene in the Marley arc. And I haven't been able to forget that, because they never address it again, really, and maybe this is going to lead up to some more answers regarding that. I really hope so.
Yeah,
could be interesting, but as I said, I have no idea what it could be.
Right. I agree. That's a good point. And that's stuff I totally forgot about. It is odd that they said it was the general's specific request.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they say it was the Card Titan's request?
Precisely.
Or something else.
Maybe Piek is shy and she's like asking Magath to ask for her or something. I don't know.
Maybe Piek has a crush on Yelena.
Right. I mean, that's something I've legit thought might be the case for a while, because of the way she said like she had a personal interest in her.
Right.
Like I wouldn't.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure if Piek has ever mentioned what her sexual preferences are.
Don't think she ever has.
I can't remember.
Don't think there's been anything about that. I mean, overall, there isn't a lot of any of that in Attack on Titan in general.
True.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Aside from Jean trying to
get
on Mikasa.
Yeah.
Back off, man.
All the way at the
Back
beginning.
off.
He likes that long Asian hair. But
anyway, sorry.
So yeah, and back to my boy Reiner.
Kicked in the face.
Yeah. Poor guy.
I like how he never ate the bread or the apples. They were just there.
Yeah, he was just sleeping the entire time.
I don't know. It's just a joke. It's just a joke at this point.
It is. It's a meme now.
It's a meme.
Right up there with the Piek finger and Annie's pies. Anyway, what do you guys think of this last scene with Reiner waking up and this whole jam?
I mean, I'm interested to see where this leads. This is the type of ending where I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm interested to see how at least this one scene progresses, because it just started and then stopped. Because
you're right. The scene. You're right. The scene started and just like stopped.
Yeah.
And then it cuts away. Like we didn't get to see these characters have a conversation yet until next month.
Yeah, this last scene is only 2.5 pages, so it's another one of those very short ones.
Yeah.
Right. What did I think about it? I mean, it's glad to see Reiner back and the gang's all together. Obviously, Annie wouldn't say much in this situation other than kick him in the face.
Yeah.
Just that's her way of saying hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's her way of saying I love you.
I love you.
Showing affection.
No, it's Armin and Annie. Anyway, so what I don't like, or what I find off base, is how much Connie is taking control of the situation. I know he's had, supposedly this big character change, this, big change of heart. He's no longer angsty.
Well, he's a little angsty, maybe.
Well, I mean, he's taking control of the situation. Like he's not like he's the brains, but he's the lead. And that kind of, it bugs me, because I don't think he should be. I think it should be Armin, but as we've pointed out already, Armin's not in the mental state right now to take control. There's some serious depression going on that he needs to acknowledge, or needs to resolve somehow.
Yeah.
But I mean, of all these people here, and considering Armin's state, I mean, who else is going to take the lead?
Absolutely, yeah, totally. Like
Annie's obviously, once she just woke up, and Annie's not one to be a leader. Mikasa's obviously not going to do it. Yeah. So
we're not going to have the kids.
So it makes sense, but it just kind of, it's just strange that we're hearing Connie is the one saying we're gonna save the world.
Yeah, you know, like alternatively, one thing I have thought of instead of having Connie like kind of be that, I feel like having Jean stand there and say to save the world could have, because he's definitely more of the leader type.
I agree. I mean, we've seen him take the lead, and and I've had my gripes with John. We've established that, but I do think it would have fit more to have him to say that.
Sure.
But maybe Isayama's like, I haven't used Connie very often. Let's put him more in the spotlight, I suppose.
Yeah, and I personally don't mind it. And also, like, even if Armin hadn't been in the poor mental state that he is in, I still don't think he's much of a leader, even when he is like on peak. Like, he's a strategist. He's a strategist, and he's smart. He's got the brains. He can make plans, but he cannot lead.
I think when he has a plan, when he knows what needs to happen, he then takes the lead.
I don't think we've ever seen him take the lead perfectly. Because even in the Return to Shiganshina, where he got the opportunity to lead, in the end he just gave it all up to Jean. He asked Jean to make the.
Well, then Jean was like, I don't know what to do.
No. But Jean did have something. He I don't remember the specific thing, but Jean did do something there in Return to Shiganshina. When Armin couldn't figure out,
he saved someone,
make the quick decisions.
Once in that part, but then when the Colossal Titan was, I think it was marching towards the wall or something, I can't remember. They're like, oh, what are we gonna do? Armin, you gotta think of something. And then Armin thought of something, and then he took control. I do think when Armin has the plan, when he has that spark of genius, he can take the lead, but he just doesn't have that, and obviously he's not in the mental state to.
True.
And of all the people here,
Right.
I think in his correct mind, he would have been the one to take the lead, in my mind.
Okay.
Especially more than Connie.
One reason, though, that I like that it's Connie here is because Connie is one of the characters that has been the most furious with the Marleyans in general. Like, throughout the course of the story.
With Eren and
he's been furious with a lot of people.
Particularly Eren.
Right, but also like his reaction when he learned that Reiner and Bertolt were like the Armin and Colossal Titans, like he was one of the people that took that the worst, and like his reaction to that, and it's nice to see him. In my opinion, it's nice to see him be the person to kind of reach out his hand to Reiner here.
That's fair.
In a way.
That's a good point.
And I also really like that this last panel of the chapter and the volume. This is supposedly the last chapter of volume 31. But that this last panel here is seen completely through Reiner's eyes. Everyone's looking down at Reiner.
Yeah.
I thought was a very nice touch. And something that was pointed out to me by a friend of mine who is on our Discord server. His name is Haza, or our Suffering Armor Man. Anyway, just giving credit where credit is due.
Yes.
And also, by the way, for anyone listening and who is interested in joining our Discord server, we have a Discord server specifically for Attack on Titan, where we have a group of Attack on Titan fans. It's in the video description for anyone who wants to join in and discuss all things Attack on Titan with us in that Discord server. We also obviously have the other Discord server, which is for Cosmic Casters, the whole podcast network. But yeah, feel free to join either. Anyway. On to what Suffering Armor Man was telling me, a little observation that he made on this final panel. Other than the fact that it is seen from Reiner's perspective, which I did catch, but other than that, it's also very nice to see this as basically a message about saving the world that Connie comes with here. I think it resonates very strongly with Reiner. Just because of he's always had this dream, ever since he was a kid, this dream of becoming a hero.
I remember reading that. Yeah.
Right, and his childhood dream of becoming a hero, well, to save the world, that's kind of the biggest thing a hero can do, and that's. Right. I think he's very, well, obviously we don't know how the scene is going. We don't know until next month, but I think he's going to be game. I think he's going to be on board here. Yeah. Because I think it speaks to him.
Yeah, that's a good point that Suffering Armor Man brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll admit Reiner is not my favorite character, but he is a good character.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to sound like I hate him or anything.
No.
I have other characters I like above him, but
Sure.
I do think he is one of the better characters in Attack on Titan, and I think if we get more of him in the story, I think the Attack on Titan would be better for it, because I was a little worried there for a minute that maybe he would kind of push to the side a bit, but it's good to see him and everyone just kind of like rallying together here to save the world.
Yeah.
The save the world part, I mean, no matter who delivers it, it's been delivered, and it is to save the world. Like, that's their goal.
Yeah.
And we've debated, like, what are they going to do? Are they going to side with Eren? Are they going to go against Eren? And by saying save the world, it does make it seem like they're going to try to take Eren down. And I think we've all kind of thought that, but we just weren't sure how in the world that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is how.
But right, the question is how. But I also think there were quite a bit of fans, at least from what I can see, who thought that it was going to end tragically, or it is going to end tragically. I mean, you still could, but tragically in the sense that everyone's going to support Eren taking over the world in mass genocide.
And everyone who don't support him are going to die?
Right. And I think people were like expecting that and wanting that in some case. But to me, it's like there's no way he was going to end this where everyone just joins Eren like in his genocide. Like there was no way that was going to happen. They were going to stop him in some way. And I think that to save the world kind of confirms that. And obviously we don't know how. And I hope we get a plan sooner rather than later.
It's going to be very interesting. Like, obviously we have this whole crew that are arriving at Reiner's place here. They're obviously, they've teamed up already, as well as the other people that aren't here, like Jean, Piek, and like, all of those. It can probably be assumed that Reiner will join them as well. He hasn't said that he will, but I think it's pretty safe to assume that he will. And with that, this team of this unlikely team has 5 Titan shifters. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not saying that's going to be an easy fight to take over the humongous Eren, who's in control of like millions of wall titans, but I mean, it's still 5 Titan shifters, and that's probably relatively good odds.
Sure.
The only other Titan shifters are Eren and Zeke.
Yeah.
That aren't in this on this team.
That's what I was gonna say. What if they end up somehow teaming up with Zeke? Then they have 6 of them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is 6 the magic number?
I don't know. Oof. 6 is my favorite number, but
there you go.
but I don't know. Like it's strange now, right? Because to save the world, that makes it sound that they're gonna go after Eren, but Levi seems very set on going after Zeke. So and Eren and Zeke are not on the same
Although
side.
I will say, I didn't bring this up, but I think Hanji said that they believe Zeke is with Eren at this point. Still trying to convince him. I guess maybe they think he's trying to convince him for his plan, but if anything, Zeke's probably trying to convince him to stop. Just like what Grisha told him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Grisha asked Zeke to stop Eren from doing the ghastly deed. So maybe if Zeke is somehow still conscious and with Eren, maybe he's trying to stop him somehow.
One theory I've seen like once, so it's probably not a big one, but that I think is interesting. And that kind of makes some things make sense. So, because before we went back into the real world after the whole Paths chapter part, Eren kind of set Ymir free. Like, right? Like he told her to do what she to make her own choice, and she in turn turned Eren into this huge ass Titan and gave him control of the wall titans and all that. Would she still be making titans and like work in the Paths realm the way that she used to, even after she made this big decision to kind of stop all that? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's still one of those questions we don't know.
Right, but we do know for a fact that Titan shifters can still turn into Titans, you know, we have seen the cart Titan at least, and we have also seen Reiner. Reiner was steaming 2 chapters ago, I think, because he was so injured, and the steam obviously means that the Titan powers still work for some reason.
I think the only thing that was taken away was the hardening, right?
Yeah, it was at least temporary, at least for the moment. Maybe if Reiner would turn into his Titan again, he would have the hardening now, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's gone for good, or maybe it was just like a one time, like all hardening that exists in this moment will shatter.
But your point is that Ymir is supposedly free.
Yes, and so
technically shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Precisely, and then here comes my point: is that what if Zeke is now doing what she used to be doing? What if Zeke has taken over the Titan creating job that Ymir did for 2,000 years? And the reason he's doing it is because he wants to stop Eren, but in order to stop Eren, the other Titan shifters need to be able to Titan shift. But Ymir isn't going to do it, so he has to, or something like that. I don't know. It's just a theory. I've seen it like I think I saw one person at some point put it forth, and I'm like, ooh, maybe interesting, but I mean, I don't know.
I think it's a little too outside baseball. Maybe.
I don't know, possibly.
It's possible, but I think it's a little bit too outside baseball.
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of in the same mindset. I mean, I get anything is possible at this point, but I think there's just too many things going against it. Like, I'm sure you have to have the founding Titan power to be able to even consider that.
Maybe.
At least I would think.
But Zeke made it into the Path's realm already, so maybe he just stayed there or something.
But he doesn't have the founding Titan's power. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. You can get there, but if you don't have that power, I mean, you have to have the power to get there. But the point is, you have to have that power to make Titans.
I don't think that's been established.
Is what I think. No, but I think that is a. I think it's a good a sound concept, a sound idea.
Assumption.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly. But yeah, anyway, like Zeke could be anywhere, really.
We don't know.
Yeah. He is one of the biggest like unknowns right now. Maybe the biggest unknown, because we have zero idea. Like, is he still in Shiganshina? Is he riding on Eren? Is he in the Path's realm? Is he like somewhere else? We have no idea at all. At least we know that Eren is marching, or presumably he's marching with the Wall Titans.
Like, so I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts of this chapter as a whole. So to go off of what you just said, it's like one of the problems that I've had, other than the whole impact thing that we've touched on like 3 or 4 times in this discussion, was that it's a smaller complaint I have, but in the last 2 to 3 chapters, we've kind of been far removed, or maybe not too far, but removed from the action, as it were. I think that next chapter is going to rectify that, given how it ended, or how this chapter ended. Sorry, it's just that I'm ready for some payoff. I think I've gone too far without some payoff.
You want like Eren action?
Yeah, I feel like we're too far removed from where he is. I guess, to be more specific, like what is he doing? What has he been doing for the last number of days? Where is Zeke? All that jazz. Hopefully we'll get some more of that next chapter.
I disagree with you in the sense that I've been very, very entertained by these past couple chapters. I feel like there's been a lot of interesting character moments, and I've just genuinely enjoyed them. I think, though, that a lot, like, there's a big portion of Attack on Titan fans that are more like on your side on this, Steven. Because I'm
not saying that I didn't enjoy this block of chapters. I just think that it took a bit too hard of a turn away from Eren.
It's like we had such heavy focus on Eren and Zeke during the Paths chapters. That is true. and then it kind of shifted away from that. But I personally enjoyed it because I felt like that we needed these other characters to shine for a bit, and I think
Right, I agree.
so they got to shine like during this volume 31, which has been the past 4 chapters, has been like a bit of a breathing room to focus on the other characters.
Yeah, I think it's nice to not leave everyone else in the dust, and it's almost necessary with how big the world he's built, with how many characters there are.
There are just a general gripe I have with this title is that there are many characters, so it is understandable that you would need to give them some time in a block of chapters, or in this case, a volume.
Yeah.
As it were.
I don't think there's too many characters though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, there are some manga that go crazy with how many characters they introduce. This one's not too bad.
I don't read all that much, so
right now this one's still fine. Like that said, though, I want a manga writer to be able to handle all of the characters that they create, and for the most part, I feel like Isayama is able to do that. Like most of the characters, I feel they're well developed and they have interesting arcs going for them. But I'll say it again. I am kind of, or maybe I didn't say it specifically, but I did express some kind of worry. I am very worried about Mikasa at the moment.
Worried in what sense?
In the sense that her character arc might not pay off in a satisfying way. Because at this point, she's just confusing and kind of, I don't get her. I want to get her, and I really wish, I hope that it's gonna become good. That it's gonna become it's gonna turn into an interesting thing eventually. But right now, I'm not feeling it with her.
Yeah, that one 2-page scene just really didn't do it for us, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's what Isayama wants you to feel. He wants there to be some sort of confusion, just as much as Mikasa's confused and not quite understanding what the right choice is.
That's interesting. Yeah.
You laugh, but I'm serious.
Right.
I think that he is leading it up to this, or he could be leading it up to this very satisfying thing. But I'm not gonna say that she's had amazing character growth. Not at all. There's some interesting choices, but it is confusing.
Right.
But I guess for me, when it comes to these chapters, if you don't mind me saying how I feel.
No, go on.
Okay.
I feel this one was probably, I don't know. I think there was a lot of moments I liked, but overall, I think it was my least favorite chapter that we've covered on Titan Teatime so far.
I see.
I think I may have said that last week as well. Or was it the week before?
Yeah, I think at some point, like either last or the previous, or the
it was
one
either
before
last
that.
week or the week before. I can't remember which one. But so I do think the quality has kind of steadily gone down in terms of impactful and amazing and really epic storytelling that we enjoyed in the first few chapters. But at the same time, I think I said this the last time I mentioned it. These are all fantastic chapters that we're getting.
They are
really, really good growth. Although I would say, to be honest, I think this one is the first mediocre chapter that we've kind of gotten. Just kind of run of the mill, nothing too special, but not like boring or not negative in any way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah.
So I think it's still good. It's just not as great as the last ones. But
That's fair.
I could see that turning around in the next chapter or not. I don't know. We'll see.
It is ballsy of Izayama to make basically an entire volume of setup chapters, because that's basically what it's been. Volume 31, which was the 4 chapters that we had most recently. They're basically all setup chapters to some extent. Obviously, there is stuff going on in them as well, but not. I mean, as you also said, Stephen, like they're not where the action is. Like, sure, there's some action, but there's not like. It's not the main.
Okay, how about
scene.
how about main conflict?
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. and we're
I think
not
that's
there.
a better term to use for it.
Yeah, so it is, and it is kind of ballsy of Isayama to take us away from that for an entire book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I admire him for that. He's done ballsy moves before, and it's always paid off. My favorite arc in the entire story, the Marley arc, was ballsy right off the bat because
True.
like it just took us away from everything that we knew, just focused on primarily anyway, like a majority of the characters were brand new characters for us, like a complete shift in tone and everything with the Marley arc, and it's a lot of people's favorite arc, despite that. So I have faith that ECM is going to make this work as well. Even though maybe some people didn't like these past couple of chapters, they're going to be worthwhile in the end.
I agree. That's why I think Mikasa will be A-okay, and you all love her.
So there's one more thing, just in case we do get to see what Aaron's up to next chapter. There's one more thing I want to say.
All right.
In my head, in concept, if we pick up right, keeping with time, if we spend was it like 3-4 days?
I imagine something like that, 3 days or so.
Conflict. If we just pick up right now, right over there, I think that'd be a little bit jarring. Because it's been 3 to 4 days, and now we're here, Now this has changed in this area. I don't know.
Well, Eren and the Wall Titans don't move that fast, I don't think. So they wouldn't have made it that far in 3 days. Or I mean, they would have maybe made it to the ocean.
Well, we still haven't seen what Eren's Titan, what his Titan looks like.
True. That is true.
So, I don't know. It would just be really weird to, pick up, somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, they're probably slow enough.
It could go a lot of ways, really.
They're probably slow enough.
Yeah. So I guess predictions. I'll just say.
Actually,
that...
one little thing I have to say about Mikasa before that.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Is that regarding my confusion and worry about her, like the way it's looking right now, or at least, and also the way that you've theorized, James, is that it seems like Mikasa is on a character arc that will bring her from being unable to make her own decisions to a point where she is able to make her own decisions, to put it simply. Yeah, and like that's a fine arc to have, but not only is it feels really weird right now, but also she has kind of already had that progression before during the Trost arc, because at the beginning of the Trost arc, when they were like being put into teams and stuff, she was very much like she wanted to be with Eren, but she couldn't, and blah blah blah. But then during the Trost arc, when Eren supposedly died, she had some actual interesting character development. That was one of the big reasons why Mikasa was my favorite character in the early parts of Attack on Titan.
Totally.
She actually developed, and she started to, and she actually took lead for a part there during the Trost arc, and she had that this whole big speech in front of all of the cadets, and she had a massive character development during the Trost arc. But as soon as Eren came back, she just kind of reverted back to being this person that can't make her own decisions, and she's been that way ever since. And now she's kind of doing the same thing again, but it feels weird because she's already done this.
Well, I think that answers your own question, is because Eren was back, and now she's going to make this decision. She's going to make this choice to be independent, even with Eren, or at least, make the choices herself with Eren still around.
Yeah, that could be interesting if it's done well, and I really really hope it will be done well. I think it will be.
I'm just surprised this is the one thing that you're caught up on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not. I share some of my worries with you, but I mean, you keep saying that I trust Isayama.
I know.
And then this one thing, you're kind of like, I don't trust Isayama.
Yeah, I don't know why. I always trust Isayama a lot, but for some reason, with this specific instance, with this case, I have a little bit less faith for some reason, and I wish I didn't.
No, it's understandable. Yeah, I understand.
In Isayama, we trust.
That's odd.
Yes. So prediction time.
So I guess if we consider the pattern that's kind of been placed, they have a cliffhanger, and then the next chapter they touch on it automatically. It's kind of been the pattern for the past 2 or 3 chapters. I wonder if they'll do that with this one. The problem with that is if they were to sit down and have think of a plan or whatever, it's an old anime manga storytelling trope where if they tell you the plan won't go won't go according to plan.
Right.
Like it won't.
Yeah.
It won't end.
Yeah, it's just general storytelling.
But if they don't tell you and it happens during it, and then they tell you, then it's like, okay, it'll be a success.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me wonders if that's going to happen. That they have a plan and they're going to execute it, and then it's just going to fail, and then something else will come up. But I wonder if he's just going to skip over it. Like maybe that won't be great for Reiner fans. However, it kind of happened with Annie in this one, where they see her, she has her funny moment, then they just leave, and then they're all working together. They don't explain the plan at all.
Precisely.
They just go, and obviously that plan was a success because they didn't explain it. But I wonder if similar things gonna happen with Reiner. Reiner will just be with them, and they'll just be moving on with their plan.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if they have a sit down with Reiner and kind of like what they've done.
That's something a lot of people have been wanting. I think a lot of people have been wanting a scene between Reiner and the other 104th cadet people, like Connie, Mikasa, Jean, Armin.
Yep.
A lot of people have been wanting that conversation, because we had it in the Marley arc. We had a conversation between Reiner and Eren, and it was a very meaningful, very impactful scene that they had in the cellar.
True.
So another scene where Reiner gets to catch up with the other people, the other characters from his training group.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been wanting that. Though I think for me, something I want even more is a scene between Reiner and Annie specifically.
Ain't gonna happen, man. Ain't gonna happen. That kick in the face is as much as you're gonna get.
I don't know, but it's...
If Annie and Armin don't get a whole scene together, then neither does Reiner and Annie.
But Reiner and Annie are tighter.
Nope.
They are tighter.
No. Not after 4 years. Not after 4 years of being in that crystal. And he's got Bertolt's psyche in him, I suppose. Armin does.
Well,
so,
maybe, sort of. Yeah.
I don't know. Wouldn't you saying that was the reason why he was at the crystal?
Partially. Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's partially that. But anyway, but I'm just adding to my...
Yeah.
Like we said, in Isayama We Trust, if there is a scene with Annie and Reiner, hey, that'd be awesome. And have some sort of character development. I don't know what they're going to talk about other than, man, crazy, huh? Yeah.
Right. No, but I think I said something about it last month, where Annie and Reiner have both kind of had a character development to become something a little bit more similar to each other than they were originally. They were very different as characters at first, but now they're more on an emotional similar level. And I think I don't know. I think catching up between the two of them could be very interesting, especially since they've known each other since they were kids.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that's just wishful thinking.
Who knows? I mean,
who knows?
Steven,
do you have any predictions that you want other than... I guess you said you wanted Eren action.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. It's like an ending like this with the scene just cut off. Well, one, I have no idea where this is gonna go.
Yeah.
Outside of what's in this room, I have no idea where this is gonna go right now.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine, because they have to catch up to Eren, first of all. Supposedly.
Yes, they do. So, I'm just interested in, one, how this scene progresses, and in two, how are they going to get back to the area of conflict?
Mm.
If they are going, they're probably not going to do that immediately, but I mean, we'll see what happens.
Okay, I have another prediction that is stupid and won't happen.
Go for it.
But next chapter, Eren and Mikasa will kiss. I'm just kidding. Totally joking.
Yeah,
totally joking.
The manga will end right there.
ends next chapter. You hear her. No, actually, what I was gonna say that is not as unlikely, but still unlikely. But I'm gonna make the prediction anyway. We're gonna see Zeke and actually see what he's doing.
Sure.
What he's been doing this whole time, or what his plans are.
Sure.
And whether that means they end up meeting up with the Mikasa and Armin gang, or he's with Eren, I don't know. But I think we will finally see where Zeke is.
One thing that I think, for me, it'll be a positive, and for me, it'll be an improvement over this past volume. Is I think we're gonna start to get more focused again, because all of these characters are together now. They're not on their own little arcs.
Yep, they have assembled.
they have assembled.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think that with that mindset, I think that next chapter, or maybe the next couple chapters, will be a marketable improvement for me. Personally,
I hope you'll like it.
Yeah, I hope you like it too. I think we may have like 2 teams break. I mean, who's to say that Levi's group and Reiner Armin
I don't
group
expect
are meet
everyone to show up at once.
I don't know.
But
I mean,
we'll
maybe
see.
they will. Maybe they'll all meet up and then they'll execute the plan, or maybe they already have a plan and they're just I don't know. I don't
We'll
know.
see.
It's hard to predict.
I have 2 kind of predictions, I think.
Okay.
Please.
One that is like my dream. That's less of a prediction and more just like I would love that thing. And the other one is more of a realistic prediction, but maybe not even totally realistic. Anyway,
All right.
the prediction I have, which seems a little bit more likely, is that we at some point during the next chapter that we'll get some kind of Historia stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's been ages since we got anything meaningful from her.
It would be nice.
I think a flashback, for example, because there's been something with her and Eren. Like, not saying he's the father. But there's been something going on there. We saw Historia with her present day haircut in Eren's memories during that time when they went into the paths. So like, and they did later on show us a couple of things that was from that. For example, the little boy with the fez. Like, I feel like there's something with Historia that we're gonna get a flashback to as well. And I think maybe next chapter, possibly, potentially. If it makes sense.
She's gonna be eating a hamburger.
Yes.
And then she'll join the best girls eating food.
Yeah. But like anything with Historia, I think is my semi-realistic prediction.
That's your semi-realistic one?
Yeah, and so you don't.
What's the not realistic?
The not realistic prediction is that for the next chapter they will have made it like this crew here with Reiner and all. They have made it back to where the other guys on the team is, wherever they are, if they're still at the lake or the water place, or if they're elsewhere, wherever they are, so that everyone's gathered. There's going to be like 12 or something like that of them. I did count on my fingers.
You are the Fellowship of the Titans.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, the entire of the next chapter just be like a scene with these characters interacting with each other as a group, and it's gonna be like filled with like drama and like somber moments and just like a lot of
and Annie and Reiner.
Also, for example, like partially, like that's gonna be one part of it, and Annie and Reiner, and like Reiner and the other characters, and like all sorts of combinations, and it's gonna be like all sorts of emotions are gonna come up out of that. I just feel like there's a lot of potential in that. Maybe I'm the only one who would enjoy that, though. I don't know. I just think that would be very nice.
I would.
I would. Well, really, you would. I feel like you would feel like that's more build up.
Well, I said like twice now. I want to see how this conversation progresses because it cut off.
Okay, but like my dream scenario here is that the entire chapter is just that.
Entire chapter?
Entire next chapter is just one long scene with a bunch of talking between all these characters in different constellations and different, catching up in different ways.
I mean, I'll give you this. I'll give you the fact that it'll be the first chapter of a volume. Right. So in that sense, it would somewhat make sense to me.
Yeah, good. maybe. I'm not even sold on it myself, but I think I would like it.
I mean, I'm sure I would find moments of it enjoyable, but I think I don't know if I can honestly say I wouldn't be disappointed, just a tad. But it depends on what they say.
Of course,
and what happens.
Yeah, and obviously it depends on a lot of things, like how it would be executed and all that.
Right.
But like part of it would be like them trying to come up with a plan, and part of it would be them catching up with each other, and like I feel like there would be like, since all of these characters are like such different characters, there would be a lot of drama between them, and there would be a lot of like other things like coming up. I think it would be very.
The more I think about it, I don't know if catching up is appropriate for the story right now.
Catching up might be the wrong word. Like it's more so like, I guess, interactions and seeing and characters growing with each other through interactions and little things like that. I think is something I would enjoy, but I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, I definitely don't think it would be that way.
I would, man, I really want Historia. Oh my god.
Yeah, Historia is definitely something I want as well. If I don't get any Historia next chapter, I want this unrealistic big scene with all the characters. But that's just me. But yeah, I enjoyed this chapter for the most part. I thought it was suspenseful and impactful enough. Obviously, I mean, sure, there's been a bunch of chapters that were better than this, but I thought it did the job, and I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a nice change of pace because it was hopeful, which most chapters have not been.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was a good chapter. I'm happy with it, except for the Mikasa Luis hospital scarf scene.
Well, hey, two pages out of the 40 something.
Yeah, so I'm definitely satisfied. How about you guys?
Well, I mean, I've already said, like, I think this is my least favorite of the ones we covered so far, but I do think there was impact, and it's still building up thing, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that it does. Oh, I think I was talking away from the mic. Whoops. I think it does leave you hopeful, and this isn't going to be all tragedy, all genocide. You know, that I think some people were thinking or even hoping it would be. To me, I don't find this too cliche to have these people want to save the world, want to stop Eren, if that is what saving the world means.
Yeah.
So anyway, I appreciate that hopeful ending, if you will.
Yeah.
And I agree mainly with James. It's just that there are a couple scenes that I would have liked different outcomes from personally. But other than that, good chapter. Makes me want to read more, which is what matters in the end.
Yeah.
So
hell yeah.
Oh, one last thing I'll say, sorry, is that I don't think the cliffhanger was as powerful as the previous ones, though. They may have been left some hope, but like it's not like Annie coming out or Levi coming back or Eren transforming into a Titan.
True.
Yeah.
And not every chapter can be like that, but I think that kind of lends into the fact that this chapter is not as strong as the other ones. Anyway, sorry.
My prediction last month for this chapter was that this chapter was going to end with a teaser of Historia.
Oh, yeah.
Was my prediction for this chapter from last month. Obviously, we didn't get that, but
I can't remember. I think my prediction last time was we wouldn't see Eren, which is kind of a safe one, but there you go.
Right.
But while this chapter didn't end with like a cliffhanger, I feel like the ending it's not meant to be cliffhanger in the sense that some of the previous ones have been. It's more it's meant to get you hyped up, kind of.
Yeah.
In that kind of
I agree.
That kind of ending.
And you guys are saying this is the end of the volume. This is the last chapter of the volume,
yes,
correct?
It should be, since there's 4 in each.
That seems to be a pretty, good ending, if you will, because it's just like boom, we're gonna save the world. That's our big thing.
Yeah.
Whatever that may entail.
Right.
And that seems to be a good ending to a volume.
And I even had the thought that what if, suppose Isayama said, I think when this arc began, 5 volumes ago now, that this would be the final arc. But now I'm like, what if he changed his mind, and this is the end of this arc, and in front of us, ahead of us, we have the final arc for like 4 or 5 more volumes. I know it sounds crazy.
I mean, that's right. Well, it's
No.
possible, but
because this feels
we
like
can
the
have
end
a
of an
name for
arc.
this arc.
This feels like we got a new arc ahead of us.
Right, you're right. Yeah.
I'll say this: I do think it's a good bookend to this part of the manga. I don't think we're gonna have like 4 to 5 more volumes.
I would be very happy with 4 more volumes.
You never know.
Of course you would. Gee, I wonder why.
But
Well, you don't have to say it so facetiously.
Well,
do you think there's going to be like 1 or 2 more volumes? I think that's realistic. 1 or 2 more volumes.
I don't think there's going to be more than 3. I don't think there's going to be more than 3 volumes.
I'm thinking 1 or 2 is probably realistic, but if I could have it my way, this would be the end of an arc, and then we would have a new arc ahead with 4 or 5 more volumes.
You always want more.
No,
so.
but really, I feel like there's so much left. Like there's so much.
I agree.
To get sorted out.
I agree too.
It's hard. It's hard for me to see it ending on even in 2 volumes.
Right.
I'm kind of like,
yeah,
how is this all going to be resolved?
Like there's so many bows to tie.
exactly. Which is why I'm like, please have this be an arc shift, right here.
I mean, at the very least, it cannot be 1 volume. Like I can't.
Yeah.
We can't be
won't.
5
It will
chapters or
not.
4 chapters away.
That would be
right?
surprising. That would be very surprising.
Anyway, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, we have talked for a long time.
Yeah, we've meandered a little bit.
Yeah, this is probably the longest, isn't it?
This is a record for us.
For how is this the record? I mean, how is this chapter the record?
I have no idea.
Maybe because it's so controversial.
I think
But
probably
it really shouldn't be.
yeah, we did disagree more than we usually do in this chapter. But yes, thank you everyone or anyone who listened to this. Thank you, and please share your thoughts in the comments section. Join our discords if you're interested, and we'll see you next month where we will discuss chapter 127. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.